both these teams hoping to get off to strong and stronger starts to their season here. So a little bit on the line, it's still early, but you don't want to get off on the wrong foot.
No, they still have a lot of games left to play, and there's only so many teams that can make it to playoff. You need to start off strong so that you're not falling off, in these later matches. You can't have, more than 1 or 2 bad days before you start getting knocked out of that contention spot.
Yeah, and it's small group, so every win matters. Even if you're gonna beat the other 2 people in your group, it can be a tiebreaker, it can be that kind of thing. Like, every single matchup is just so critical. So these teams, a lot to play for, a lot to prove. And one of the things that we were talking about, which is kind of exciting, is that this is organized play at a reasonably high level on the Worlds patch.
Yeah, Worlds patch is something interesting because, as we all know, Riot, they like to change things up in a very interesting fashion coming into Worlds itself. And as we head into pick ban now, you and I were talking about it a little bit off stream, this Taric pick, there's 379 games played on it with a 60% win rate. That is an absurd number of games, let alone the win rate to accompany it.
Same thing goes for the Darius Duncan Dumpling, actually a Darius main with almost 400 games and a 58% win rate. So these aren't necessarily the meta picks getting banned away, but more so those comfort, or even, you don't want to say one trick because all of these players can play a variety of champions, but at least their signature picks getting banned away. The same thing goes to the Taric and the Elise as well. Hecarim really the only one that isn't a target ban so far.
Now the Elise was actually very picked as well. It is the jungler on Omega Gaming. Just tons and tons of recently played games. I do believe it's coming back into meta a little bit thanks to the patch. So just banning away something that you've put a ton of time in, put a ton of effort into, it does put you down a tier list a little bit.
Yeah, and it's one of those picks that we all know can really take a hold of the game early on. So with that banned, Omega Gaming say, all right, well, we can't have Elise, so we'll take Graves. He's pretty good.
Yeah, again, another super heavily played champion. Conviction responding right back with the mid-top duo, presumably. Technically it could be a Lucian bot, but when was the last time anybody actually saw that?
Yeah, it's interesting to me seeing the Lucian picked so early. It's saying a lot. It's known to be this kind of melee punishing counter pick, but when you lock it in immediately, where's it going? I don't know.
It does lead me to believe that it will be the bot lane pick. If you do pick it this early in the draft, it does give your opponent the option to not opt into that melee top laner that would be heavily abused by that press the attack. You can go for something more rangy like a Vladimir or a Swain, or even a Gnar could be probably good in that pick. The Shen, just very solid. They're calling Conviction's bluff, though. They're like, that is not a Lucian top. And Conviction goes, yeah, you got us. It's Lucian bottom lane. We're going to pick Mordekaiser.
Yeah, so we've learned Lucian bot lane going to be locked in. I'm not sure what the master plan was there. Maybe they've got something wild planned here, and Mordekaiser's going jungle, and we're just getting 40 chest on. But in any case, we see those picks coming in. The Ezreal, a safe, blind 80 carry pick. Whether or not it's a Lucian, he's going to do just fine in laning phase. We're getting ourselves into the bans here now with Morgana coming off the table, and Omega Gaming looking and wondering, what roles even are we pinching? And if you're them, you have to think, let's ban jungle.
Yeah, it's the one thing you can comfortably say hasn't been picked yet. Between that and the support, we did start seeing a lot of support counter picks coming back last patch. This patch, I don't think it's as important because a number of the 80 carries and things like that are complemented by it did receive some nerfs. And Conviction all landing on the LeBlanc pick means that they really want that Syndra to have a safe-ish or even a more aggressive laning phase.
Yeah, and it's interesting to see them kind of now trying to justify these solo lane, bot lane picks. The Syndra coming in R1, it's a good pick. It's versatile. It doesn't really have any losing matchups, but normally when you're red side, you're holding on to your counter pick for the R5, that ultimate counter pick. You're guaranteed to be able to counter somewhere that you want to. You're normally holding on to that for a solo lane where the counter just matters so much more. Instead, when jungle's off the table immediately, they decide we don't want to counter that. We'd rather get these priority picks in our lanes. And I think it means they're either hiding something or just really value the support or jungle matchup.
Yeah, when we were seeing so much Caitlyn, it was a little bit crucial because if the Caitlyn got an advantageous support pick to go along with it, that lane was over. Like you never had a chance to, break through like something like the Morgana Caitlyn. Like there's just no shot you can try and get something through it. Conviction saying, yeah, you can ban away Kindred, but we're still gonna bring out everyone's favorite Scorpion, the Skarner. That's super interesting to me because it does give them so much pick potential post 6, and they already had a lot with the Syndra and the Mordekaiser.
Yeah, Skarner, an interesting lock-in, not one of the picks that we had on the map for Strixer, so a bit of a surprise there, but it does provide a lot of power. It's going to be answered by the Gangplank, an excellent answer because, of course, he can eat the oranges and BK, which means that the Shen, in fact, is going to be going down into the support role in all likelihood. Gangplank not really known for venturing too far outside of the top lane.
So, all right. Had there been more time on that pick log, I would have started spouting off some shenanigans with potentially a Graves top, maybe a Graves mid, as recently seen on LS's stream. But the Twisted Fate mid does come out. It is going to be solidly Graves jungle Shen support, which isn't bad. That's a pretty strong lane. You can use the Spirit's Refuge to try and block out some of the Lucian poke, which can be very crucial in denying that press the attack in such a short trade that gives you so much of that bursty, alpha potential. And Conviction coming out with the Leona, that's the counter pick they chose. They opted into picking their jungler first out of that second rotation and opting into the Leona counter to what they now know to be the Shen's support.
Yeah, so this Leona is interesting to me because you see the Ezreal, you see the Gangplank, you see the Shen, who actually I believe is able to deny the Leona stun with his auto attack block. What are your thoughts on Leona into this bot lane from Omega Gaming?
It's going to be difficult to truly catch them out. Ezreal with the Arcane Shift and the Flash is very slippery. The Zenith Blade can catch him sleeping, but I think for the most part, they're just going to want to try and bully the Shen. It's going to be a very similar thought process to bully the Global because that is what Shen still is, does still have that Stand United ultimate, still is able to pressure other parts of the map and really take advantage of some awkwardness, because you don't always expect Shen support to join you in your top lane duel in the Gangplank Mordekaiser matchup, but it's a possibility. And the Ezreal being able to stay safe and stay out of danger because of just the options of the pick means that the Leona gets less value because she has to all in to be effective. She has to get ahead to be effective, because if she starts falling behind further and further, she doesn't get a lot of the resistances and the defensive stats that complement her Eclipse. And so then all of a sudden she's only tanky for the duration of that ability, and as soon as that ends, she gets blown up. So it's going to be interesting to see how they play the first 5 levels, because that is when she's going to be the most important part of that lane.
One thing you mentioned about Omega Gaming that I want to highlight a little more as well is the presence of globals. Of course, Shen is a global, but we have Twisted Fate and Gangplank. We're going to have Cannon Barrages, we're going to have Destiny Gates, we're going to have just everyone flying all over the map for Omega Gaming. They've got, it's one of those comps that you draft when you're kind of joking around with your friends and normals, like, haha, let's draft all the champions with globals so we can always be everywhere. You lock in Nocturne jungle and you roll with it. Of course, they've got the Graves, which is a little bit better than Nocturne at this point in time, but
you think so?
It is one of those things that excels in skirmishes.
So Nocturne aside, yes, you're right. This is a very old school composition of we'll be everywhere. You cannot match us. You don't have the numbers. You don't have the movement. And anytime we think you're caught out, we're going to have the numbers advantage and push that through even further. And there isn't a lot on Conviction to try and deal with that. They function best as a roaming death squad of multiple members, but you're almost always going to have somebody split. There's always going to be a wave that needs catching or a camp that needs taking. And if Omega Gaming can have really good vision control, then, if they catch Skarner out at the red buff, just, doing his own little scorpion thing, and you get a glimpse of like Syndra towards the bottom half of the map, maybe like putting a pixel ward, and then Mordekaiser, you just saw them go back to base. All of a sudden you get, the Graves going in, followed by the Destiny, and then the Stand United. And if that doesn't kill them, then you just throw down the Cannon Barrage, and all of a sudden, everybody gets a little bit of piece of the pie because they all get an assist in it.
One thing to be concerned about, though, is it's one of those things that these global comps falter at, is that if they end up on the back foot and they struggle to dictate the tempo where they're forced to answer, and they're forced to answer a group of 5, suddenly all of those globals start to matter a whole lot less. Conviction can create pressure. If they're winning the split push, then they can say, we already have 5. Your globals to get into a fight and get a numbers advantage don't matter because there never will be one. It's a 5-on-5 all the time. And then you're really missing out on that combat power. Twisted Fate not having a combat ultimate means he's not as useful as someone like Syndra in an all-out 5v5. Shen, the same thing. He doesn't really want to sit there and give a shield for 3 straight seconds in the middle of a team fight. He's busy looking for taunts. And so I think, though Omega Gaming have a really powerful composition to generate a lead, to kind of say we've got these numbers advantages, we're looking to snowball the game by always having an extra man in these fights, they've got to look out, because if they get behind, if Conviction are the ones pressing down the gas pedal and saying, we don't care if you have 5, we have 5 and we're stronger than you, then it can fall apart very quickly.
And that's part of the Conviction game plan, is just abuse the small advantages that they can get early and snowball it into that later game where the numbers advantage doesn't have an actual advantage. It doesn't matter if you can bring 3 people to a fight if Mordekaiser can just select one, kill them, and then double kill the other 2 because he's gotten, an item ahead, half an item ahead. And with Skarner, I'm curious how the Skarner actually operates, because it's not something we've been seeing lately. It's not something that traditionally does well into Graves, personally. And so that is a linchpin, because Twisted Fate Syndra, it's whatever. Twisted Fate will probably go Dematerializer, spam card the wave, just push, try and get an advantage to then take advantage of the Destiny, and Syndra will farm just as effectively once she gets her little mana book. And so Skarner's not going to have any real priority there, and Graves can take his own personal advantage into the opposing jungle and try and bully Skarner around, and Syndra's not really going to be able to respond. She will, because she can push waves, but then Destiny comes out, they get full vision, and it's still a 2-on-2. And if you're Twisted Fate, you're not mad about that usage, because you kept Graves ahead, quote unquote, because they were able to get the invade off, maybe steal a camp, maybe force the Skarner to base and lose time on the map, which means that that's time that Skarner isn't ganking, Gangplank or Ezreal or, even Twisted Fate.
Yep. Well, with all of that said, with all of these thoughts jumbling around in our head, we won't really know how these drafts shake up until we see it on the Rift. We're going to go to a brief break as we wait for the spectator delay to catch up. We'll be right back in just a few moments with Game 1 of Omega Gaming Silence versus Conviction. Don't go anywhere. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Summoner's Rift here for Game 1 of Divine League Week 2 between Omega Gaming Silence and Conviction. We've loaded onto the Rift, and already we're seeing what might be some level 1 shenanigans.
Yeah, this Nukes team, I actually cast Nukes a couple weeks ago in a Valorant event, and the dude's kind of nutty, just constantly going for, low, what's the word? Low gamble plays. So it's something that you don't always expect because, it's not something that most people are going to do. But if it works out, you get such a high reward from it that you just win almost outright at that point. In League of Legends is kind of a bit more snowbally than Valorant, in my opinion. And so if you can take that same mentality into League and do these, high risk, high reward style plays, you get so much more out of it, especially when you're rocking a composition, such as this one, where you have heavy scalers like the Mordekaiser, the Lucian, the Syndra.
Well, Doctor, it wouldn't be Divine League if we didn't have pause.
I think you're unfairly putting all of this on Divine League. This is amateur League of Legends as a whole. Divine League did nothing wrong. Divine League just existed.
True. In any case, we have reports that it is Nuke's settings that are bugged, so he's just fiddling around in the menu, getting those settings working, which I imagine probably shouldn't take too long. I don't know about you, but I have my entire setup settings memorized. I know when I get onto a new computer or something exactly what sliders I need to change, what buttons to press.
Man, that is bold. I honestly just rock whatever. Like, I obviously have my settings at home where it's like I have my left mouse button to attack move, and that's really the only one I care about. Everything else is default anyway. So if I were to go to a new computer, I would just be like, oh, I can't orb walk. I'll just play, wave clear mids. Music off, of course. I like to listen to Stardew Valley when I get to play that type of gameplay.
Yeah. Okay. Stardew Valley, great soundtrack. I always gotta bind the area is warded ping. That's the most crucial one because unbinded by default. Just not sure why they never decided to give that one a button. Gotta have it on H. That's kind of what I ended up
I don't
deciding.
have that bound actually. I just do danger pings.
You never ping an area warded, Doctor?
No, it's unbound.
Wow.
Like you said, it's by default unbounded, and I just never went and bound it. If it's warded, it's dangerous. It's the same concept, right?
We have another pause.
This one is because somebody DC'd real quick. But the internet these days is unreliable, to say the least.
Yeah, COVID has put some strain on the internet. It's kind of fun and interesting that, not fun, I wouldn't say fun, but that because everyone just collectively said, all right, we're staying home. When you stay home, you get on the internet. And when you get on the internet, you download more stuff.
Yeah.
The entire internet backbone just slowed down a little bit over the last few months. So
yeah, it's not
we're
funny,
reconnected.
haha. It's funny. Oh no,
it's neat. Who would have thought? Just we ran out of internet. Like that's a thing that can happen.
Only in Western, though. From what I hear, those Worlds hotels outside of the quarantine one, from what I hear, they have pretty good internet.
I would believe it. To get League of Legends World set up, the Chinese government pretty invested in that. They seem to care. Pretty big in China, so makes sense that they would have the infrastructure necessary. No
That
streaming on
starts
Twitch,
this week. Coleslaw, did you know that is this week? World starts in like 4 days.
Yeah, I'm acutely aware because I'm planning on waking up and watching it because I'm a grown adult and that's what we do.
That is true.
5 a.m.
I do wake up and watch TV as an adult. It's not something I physically could do as a child. So I'm glad that you mentioned this rare medical occurrence of not being able to wake up and watch TV.
It's just joy, Why start work when you could wake up at 5 a.m. and watch League of Legends Worlds play-ins? I'm really excited for some of these teams. Brazil, they're going to do it, man. This is Brazil's year.
Do they say that every year?
No, I mean, am I being sarcastic? Maybe, but
But we're in. The game is live. Things are happening. People are farming. And this is once again Omega Gaming Silence versus Conviction. And these two teams are in it for the long haul. This is going to be a best of 3 here in the week 2 of Divine League.
Yep. And we'll see if we can get through that without any more pauses. I'm kind of holding my breath, waiting for something else to go wrong here. It's just going to be a matter of time, Doctor. Unless it isn't. We've just got normal laning going on. We've got the junglers starting on the same side of the map. That red buff is already gone. Skarner actually started top side. They started different sides of the map. I lied.
It was kind of a big brain play attempting to give the level 2 spike over to Official Nukes and Boss Giovanni. They did get it. They just weren't able to get the engage off behind it. So the levels have now equalized, kill pressure lessened a little bit. And it is going to be a little bit back to normal down here. And we'll have to see how... Ooh.
Well, Giovanni is going to go in. There's nowhere near enough damage at level 2 to take down a Shen. But still, a reasonably favorable trade. Leona is the champion of that. Same thing going on in top lane. Black Dog getting chased down by Duncan Dumpling. The grab does miss, and that unfortunately means nothing going down. Vangito going to have to flash away from Giovanni and Nukes. Nukes chasing him down, but still, nothing happening.
They do get the Ignite out, which is kind of crucial. Benito also not having flash anymore. That could be problematic in the next couple levels as we do start to see both sides attempting to heal up. All potions gone.
Here
on
comes
the blue side.
Strixer. That's a flash.
Yeah, pretty smart. It does open up the level 6 gank in a couple minutes now because Flash having that 5-minute cooldown. Does have the spell book, however, so could swap that over to Ghost to dodge out on the next gank attempt. And Ghost is something that I think has been kind of undersold lately. We did see a very, 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 very small amount of Victor having been played last patch, and a lot of them were going Ghost Flash. Because the champion's just so slow, you kind of need double escape options.
Well, here goes Giovanni again. This time Strixer's in the area. Benito with no flash is going to be the focus. We see a flash under turret, and First Blood goes over to Official Nukes. However, Giovanni ends up taking up the turret a little too long, and Azuto gets the revenge kill. Oh, no. Benito got the revenge kill. He had the Ignite ticking, and he stole it.
Kill secured. We don't say the other S word here. It is secured. Definitely less than optimal to go over to the support Shen. Isn't going to be nearly as tanky as a top lane Shen or even a jungle Shen just due to lack of economy. Does help a little bit to be able to pick up that 300 gold though. So definitely will be able to pick up a health crystal.
Now we've got a scrap here in the mid lane. The health bar is not favoring Conviction though, so they're going to have to skedaddle on away.
Graves is a bully. I know he's wearing, the hot teacher costume, but he's a bully.
Yeah, and they're actually going to look right onto the dragon here. It looks like Strixer and Giovanni aren't going to be too happy about that. So teams are aware, but with Twisted Fate having the priority, able to roam down, Conviction decides that it's not worth it. They don't want to die and lose the dragon at the same time. Banky Kang going to be able to secure the first Ocean Dragon of the game.
Followed by an Infernal, which means we are either getting a Cloud or an Earth Soul, one of which very beneficial. The other one equally a dragon. Does have some benefit. I think Cloud Drake is very good if you can get more than 2 of them because you do get the scaling 10% ultimate cooldown reduction. And if we look across the board in this game, there's a lot of really impactful ultimates. There's also a really high amount of pick potential that the Earth Soul would really help to prevent on either side.
Yeah, I think it's kind of going to be a big soul regardless. I mean, soul's always big, but Infernal Soul often kind of lamented as not really actually packing that much of a punch, especially against tankier teams, whereas a Skarner with more ults is spooky. Gangplank with more ults is spooky, and Strixer, you got to get out of there, buddy. There's a Twisted Fate there, too. He's going to get stunned up and killed by Banky King. Too greedy for those Raptors. Odin going to try and get the revenge kill, but with the heal from Mad Show Gat Spellbook, going to keep that Graves alive, and that's just a free kill and a little too much greed from Strixer.
Yeah, I'm not sure if they just didn't realize that the Twist of Fate was there as well. The gold card securing the kill there. But Banker King's scary. It is Graves in the early game. Does have that Skirmisher Smite, so it does deal a little bit more damage while not taking as much damage. Strixer does need to be relevant as the Skarner, though, because if you're only an ultimate bot, it can be very hard to do your job with the select few targets that you already have, right? Like, how often is Strixer going to be in range to get the Ezreal? How often are they going to find Black Dog without an orange? So it's almost leaving just Macho Gap, who will be, vulnerable to that Skarner.
Yep, but he's not vulnerable to the Skarner if he's invading and killing the Skarner himself, Don't have to be vulnerable if you can just kill him first. Best CC is death. Yeah, Skarner can't hit you if he's dead. It's the way it works.
Didn't even need the Destiny. Didn't need that level 6 global. Was able to just casually walk in. Hey, what's up? Hello. I'll be taking your life, and we're gonna go from here. And that does set up now having the Corrupting Pot and the 1 stack. Darksteel did back with 1,600 gold. So Twisted Fate teleporting back into lane, opting into Boots 3, so Boots of Swiftness, and a Blasting Wand. That's curious to me. I can't remember the last time I actually saw Swifties being built, ever.
Yeah, they're an item. I love them just because going fast is fun. I'm not sure fun is the objective here, but maybe the idea is getting away from a Skarner with blue smites. Pretty important. The slow resist can be pretty helpful to make sure he has to chase you a little harder to close the distance. Twisted Fate does like movement speed.
Tenacity is also relevant because of the amount of crowd control available.
Well, Strixer's in trouble. This is a flashless Skarner, but this is also a flashless Graves, so a little bit of a scrap there. We see the Shen and Ezreal walking up first, so it is Conviction that's going to back off, but not before doing a little bit of damage. Little bit.
Does set up nicely for vision control as we head into the next dragon.
Well, here's a stun onto Macho Gap, but his flash is available once again. They didn't get the repeat gank in time, so Twisted Fate just gonna flash away a second time, get himself to safety.
60 seconds until the Infernal Drink, though, so that definitely will not be available. 2 teleports down on the side of OGS. They will have Black Dogs available for the Dragon, I believe. Looking at that little top corner can be a little difficult to tell sometimes, but nevertheless, we'll have the Cannon Barrage available to try and help out the team there. I wonder if you just trade Infernal Drake for Herald, get the guaranteed 320 gold, and just then try and fight for whatever soul comes up, whether it's quad earth or quad air. I think as Conviction are, they would really do well with either of those.
Yeah, as it stands right now, it looks like neither team is actually going to be prioritizing this dragon. We see Banky Kang in his blue side jungle clearing out the last camp there. We see Strixer just go into the wolf camp, so no one's in the vicinity. I think both teams were happy to give it up, and neither of them did. So interesting. Now we're going to see Conviction walking towards it, despite not having global advantage. But I don't know. We're just chilling. We're just relaxing. Who needs to fight about dragon? That's lame.
I mean, with the bot side going back on OGS, just as the dragon was spawning, you can already see that Conviction have gone, oh yeah, we can take this. We have more champions here. We have the ability. They are going to secure that Infernal Soul and let us know that it is going to be the Earth Soul. Infernal Dragon, not Soul, excuse me. Duncan Dumpling having a good time here in the top side, is about even CS-wise.
Well, here comes a big fight in the mid lane. We see a stun coming down on the Macho Gap. The Stand United going to come in to save him. Strixer going on a turret, gets taunted up. Banky Kang now going to hit him, but he's getting chunked out by Odin, and everyone's just going to walk away and stare at each other angrily. No one going down. Oh, except fighting the top lane. Black Dog getting brought into the death realm. Going to drop the Cannon Barrage down onto Duncan Dumpling and get him his first kill in the game. A solo kill going down in the top lane. Now Strixer got out. Odin got out. Or is it Macho Gap? He's going to get stunned up by the Leona. You see Banito is here to save him. Strixer now running in, and wow, that's... Oh, he ties the minions! Macho Gap goes down. Just tanked the minions a little too long and ends up porting into his death.
Definitely a miscalculation there. Looking back at that top side, though, Duncan Dumpling definitely had the right idea. Wanted to Death Realm to go off before the barrel pop, trying to just dodge out on the explosion and try and not lose that much HP before taking the 1v1. The ability was a tad slow, however, so it took a ton of damage from the barrel explosion. And then in the Death Realm, Cannon Barrage still works. I don't know where their cannons are coming from, but hey, they still landed on target, and you can see there that Black Dog was able to win the 1v1 off of just the culmination of those two things.
And now we have a Gangplank who, without any jungle assistance, has gone even in farm with a Mordekaiser and has a solo kill. And Doctor, I think that tends to be a problem.
Yeah, Mordekaiser's a scaling champion, believe it or not.
Here comes a dive onto the bot lane. Azudo was by himself. Giovanni and Nukes realize that. They just go ahead and pull the trigger on the dive. Macho Gap now here to clean up, though. Giovanni goes down in an instant, doesn't have any health to survive. Now it's going to be the chase down onto Nukes. He lands a fantastic culling onto Macho Gap. Going to get him very low, gets the heal off, and just kills that Twisted Fate. A solo kill for official Nukes. Macho Gap ate way too much damage and went in for it anyway.
Nukes coming out like a bandit and just coming out so ahead, able to pick up the kill onto Azudo. Got a solo tower plate.
Yep.
Thank you, Gang.
Strixer finds the Graves in the jungle. There is a Syndra to help this time, and Banky Gang gets deleted. They're now chasing down Vanhito. He's a little close to a stir, but we see a flash, and Strixer, along with Odin, are able to get the kill onto Vanhito as well. A well-timed invade for them, punishing Banky Gang, going for his red buff.
We're starting to see some of this high-risk, high-reward gameplay come out from the official Nukes squad. You know, where they're diving turrets, they're invading the globals, they're, you know, counting timers to make sure that they're catching, you know, Banky King off when they may be not super safe due to the global gap. And look at this, they're going to dive another tower.
Goodbye, Macho Gap. Oh, he's got the Zanyas, the Solar Flare whiffs, and never mind. Very well played. Stopwatch Flush Shin able to defuse that dive instantly and bait out some cooldowns in the process.
Very smart play there. They don't burn too much. They get the Hex Flash, the Solar Flare, and I believe that was it, actually. Hex Flash is already back up, so it largely doesn't matter.
Well, here comes the fight in the bot lane, so with only Hex Flash not available, we're back onto Vanhito. He misses the taunt over the wall, and that's going to be another kill. It goes Giovanni, but at this point, you take those. Free kills are free kills, and this Shen suddenly has 3 deaths. He's been staring at a gray screen for much of the last few minutes.
And I'd like to thank everybody for tuning into the Coleslaw solo cast today. It's been a blast for me so far. But no, I mean, look at this. This top side is the shining light for OGS right now. Being able to pick up that Rift Herald, the giant Scuttle Crab as well. They're not quite able to get first brick, but they are going to get this dive off easily.
And Duncan going to pull the Death Realm onto Macho Gap, so it's just a 1v1 in the Death Realm. The Twisted Fate needs to stay alive, and then he's got the numbers. He's getting chunked down pretty low, but the Death Realm is now over. The stun is on to Duncan Dumpling. You have Black Dog 9 and Banky King around to punish. Odin is here to try to clean up the mess. He uses the Unleash power, but it's not enough. He's going to go down to the collateral damage, and Strixer gets bounced away, so that's going to be 2 kills for the side of Omega Gaming.
That collateral damage did so much damage. Oh, man. Odin not expecting the execute to come out there. Dragon is spawned. Junglers are nowhere near it, except for Striker, who is the fastest Scorpion on the West, is going to be able to back in the face of danger. The ward from Bahito right over the wall there to let them know that the Dragon hasn't been started up just yet is massive.
Yep, and here comes Strixer. He's going to X-Flash over the wall and out of danger. That could have been sketchy. We see both these teams looking at this Dragon, though. I think Omega Gaming are going to lay a claim to it. Duncan Dumpling decided to go catch the wave in the top lane. Odin without TP, too far in the base after respawning. And that means Mountain Dragon to the side of Omega Gaming.
First of the game, they can get 3 all said and done, which is a good bit of resistances. I believe it's 6% on everyone. Yeah, 6% armor and magic resist. So those add up 18% if they're able to get the soul plus the bonus, and the bonus HP will very heavily. Oh no.
Are you experiencing the same thing I'm experiencing?
Depends.
I had a freeze for a solid 5 seconds. Now I see a fight, and I see Pinky King flashing away.
So no, my oh no was because I saw Leona flash a wall into Solar Flare as Duncan Dumpling teleported in, and now Striker's fiending for a 1v2.
I believe that I am very far behind after a freeze. Doctor,
Oh, no.
I think I need you to cover this, or we may need to go to a brief break for production difficulties.
Yeah, if we want to take a pause for a second, we can definitely do that. As we see a team fight break out, Odin's going to pick up a kill out of Benito, and the rest of the fight comes down. Double kill for Odin, though, under the opposing tower, and that should be just about it.
With that pause, we'll go to a brief production break as we try to fix this, because I can't cast a game from 15 seconds in the... Hello, everyone. Welcome back. Our technical difficulties have been sorted. You have to love trying to do a production completely remotely. Sometimes we bump into technical issues, too. Turns out this thing is pretty hard, and when production diff happens at the LCS, it's not because they're incompetent, but because sometimes the game just freezes on you for 20 seconds. In any case, to get you caught up to speed, while you were gone, Odin went down in the mid lane to Black Dog 9, and the Rift Herald spawned, and that is where Omega Gaming has shifted their focus. So they're going to be taking that down momentarily.
Yeah, they're coming out pretty even. They did lose 2 members in the mid lane, traded back for 1, but they also get the Earth Dragon and the second Rift Herald. They already used the first one in the top side, and now they get a second one to probably break mid lane if I were them. They are going to have to contend with official nukes and Boss Giovanni, but they have the tools to do it. Mid-show gap can just hang down on the bottom, but breaking that bottom tier 1 definitely does less for you than breaking the mid tier 1.
Yeah, and mid, of course, it's known. It kind of unlocks the jungle. It allows you to go in for invades more aggressively. You can path differently. You don't have to worry about getting hit by a turret when going between this parts of the enemy jungle. And wow, Omega Gaming kind of sets up and pushes. We see a Death Brush.
They pinged it. They pinged it.
Is it going to happen? They've got the sweeper on. Bandido gets knocked up. Not knocked up, but stunned up. He taunts away, but it's not going to be in time. You see the suppression onto Banky Gang and the Death Brush. I mean, it worked. That was a double kill, and it was free.
Yeah, that's what nukes will do to you. They'll make you think they're safe, and then all of a sudden they're like, oh no! And now all of a sudden they lose advantage. They lose pressure because there's 2 members less on the map, and this is going to give the opportunity to continue pushing that mid lane. But they're actually going to Baron. It's 20 minutes into the game, and they're like, we're going to take the big purple worm. We killed 2 members of you, including your jungler who's still dead, and we're going to get a free Baron.
Twisted Fate spots it out. The Gangplank Cannon Barrage comes down onto every single member of Conviction, but they're still going for it. Strixer does get the smite. Just how many of them are going to be able to stay alive? Black Dog now goes down to official nukes. Strixer chasing down Azudo. You see the stun onto Mad Show Gap. The health bars are low across the board. Banhito gets killed down by Duncan Dumpling. He's going to fall to Azudo. Giovanni stuck on the wrong side of the wall with no flash. This is going to be Ezreal's kill at some point. He's going to miss a bunch of Qs on the way, but Boss Giovanni does finally go down. And unbelievably, Doctor, it's a 2 for 2.
Yeah, that is pretty crazy. Mid tower goes down as well, but I think if you are Conviction right now, you 100% take Baron on 3 members and 2 kills, and all you've lost out so far is your mid-tier 1, and look at how much HP is left on mid-show gap. It is going to be incredibly difficult for them to try and fight for this Earth Dragon, which means that it'll be tied up 1 or 2 apiece, and almost invalidates the potential soul point for either team.
Yeah, with dragons getting split this evenly, it does slow down the soul very, very long. It looks like Banky King actually started the dragon and dashed over the wall. We do see Mad Show Gap having gone back to base and reset with a teleport, so this is a full-on 5v5. Most cooldowns available after the Baron fight again. Neither team really wants to give this up unless I'm wrong, and as I say that, Omega Gaming walks away.
It's tough because they do get a couple bit of stats from the Baron buff, and it's on some of those scarier members, being the Lucian, the Syndra, and the Skarner, who are by far the most fed members in the game at the moment. So you need to be very hesitant about that. Plus, you already have the Righteous Glory completed for the Skarner. Very quickly will get on top of you and hopefully drag somebody into Doom. And the Syndra Lucian combo just hurts. There's no other word for it. They just hurt.
Yeah, we're seeing the Dark Spheres from the Syndra just doing ridiculous damage, especially when paired with Luden proc, so she's chunking everyone every time. Odin, a monster so far, and now it's up to Conviction to try and push this Baron buff. What they've got left of it might be enough to crack this mid-inner turret. They can start collecting some of the static gold they haven't done much of so far this game and try and push the gold lead.
Yeah, they do have all 3 Baron members in the mid lane, though, so they're not getting the most usage out of it. They could probably send the Syndra down bottom side. She will win the 1v1 against mid-show gap for at least a little bit longer, and could take a little bit more advantage of the Baron. But if you're willing to dive this tower, as we can see Strixer is, that is going to be the game plan. They are going to just look at, he's hex flashing under towers. It's only 23 minutes into the game.
Yeah, fortunately, that Hex Flash from the Skarner is scary enough to cause Omega Gaming to back off. They don't really want to give their lives for that turret. Could have been a disaster if they went down there. Uh-oh, Banky King getting soloed out. Unleash power onto him. He's going to fire back onto Odin with the collateral damage. That Syndra very low. That Shen even lower. Health bar dropping to 0. And gets hit by the end of the wild cards, and now the chase is on. Azudo running down Giovanni and Strixer. He's seeing blood. He wants more, but Conviction now running away, trying to get out of here without going down. They've lost Odin on the Syndra, and that spells danger. With no Syndra, you're missing out on so much damage. You really don't want to take much of a fight, so they're out of there. Mad Show Gap has the flank, though. He finds Strixer. Strixer finds everyone. Black Dog 9 going to try and chase the Skarner down, but Official Nuke's there to make sure he does. Oh no, Strixer! Why are you going that way, buddy? He finds Azudo. Duncan now in the 1v4. He's down to half health before he goes into Death Realm. He's flashing over the wall to the Baron pit onto Azudo. Azudo arcane shifts back over the wall. Mordekaiser getting mobility gapped on, and Banky King hops over the wall to kill him. Duncan Dumpling, what were you doing?
Yeah, that fell apart. I'm going to be honest. That descended into chaos quite quickly. We did see a nice little kind of bushwhack coming out from Odin, attempted to take out Banky King, who had a little bit of assistance from a friend, and then it just kind of devolved. We see, the Shen go down very quickly, the excellent teleport into kill from mid-show gap, and then the chase down from there with the Ezreal with that Iceborne Gauntlet is pretty easy. Being able to get constant slows and just really able to take control of the pathing of your opponent means that you chase them down, you force them into awkward positions. Strixer, I'm not sure where you were going, buddy, but you definitely want to go the other direction. Running into multiple members of the team there ends up going down, and then, like you said, mobility to Strong. Ezreal just going back and forth over that wall, keeping safe.
Yeah, and I don't know exactly what the call was there. I think Conviction decided they wanted to try to fight that. When Strixer got picked up, Duncan Dumpling was going in and going down with the ship, whether rain or shine. And I mean, he came close to getting a Zudo. It was just both flashes used and then Arcane Shift again. So Mordekaiser ended up on the wrong side of the wall. A very sad moment. Champion with no mobility whatsoever. Gonna have a tough time catching up to an Ezreal. And Zudo plays it well enough to make sure that that's the case.
Definitely some F's and chaps for our big old Death Realm boy. Dragon now in a minute once again. This will be the third dragon for somebody.
But here comes the Solar Flare onto Banky King. He uses the QSS, which means he is vulnerable to the Impale from the Skarner, and Strixer able to secure that kill immediately. Just slightly too early on that QSS means that once Strixer goes in, down goes the Graves, and we've already seen Conviction go for an early Baron once. Could they do it again?
Oh, they were trying to bushwhack him. They tried. Wait, my guy. He gets out. He actually got out. There was no CC left.
But now it's on to Van Hito. No, he's out. All right.
The support had to buy a QSS. Oh boy. Teleport coming in from Odin. They're fighting for it. We're in there.
And it looks like Omega Gaming decide that they do not want to contest. They're going to go ahead and take the dragon instead. So they're on it as it spawns. They'll be able to rush that down. But that does mean a free, uncontested Baron for Conviction. And that's a problem.
It could be a problem. They didn't get too much done with the last one. I believe they got the mid-tier 2, and that was about it, actually. They ended up all dying shortly after that. So there is a world where 6% magic and armor resist come out a little bit ahead. But they would have to completely stall out this Baron once again. And it isn't looking too good so far. They do have all 5 members, so they do have a split push in the Mordekaiser available this time, something that was noticeably absent last Baron buff. And look at how far ahead Strixer is with this bush. This is a standard route there, and you can already see them warding up on both sides, and Strixer just can hang out. There's no need for him to be in a lane, can just wait for somebody to overstep and take advantage of that.
Yep, he does need to be careful, though. There are not many targets left in the game for him to ultimate. Unless we see a QSS used too early, only Mad Show Gap is left without a way to cleanse out of that Skarner ultimate. So sadly, it is the itemization that invalidates the champion. But hey, the point is, you know, if you make everyone on the team buy a QSS, they're not going to be as strong as they could be without it.
Yeah, and it's one of those time scaling things as well. If the Skarner can get your team ahead before any member on the enemy team has 1,300 gold, they die.
Well, speaking of which, we have a fight breaking out. The Solar Flare connects onto a Zudo, and just like that, it's a rout. The Ezreal dies before the fight's even started, and that's going to be an inhibitor going down. Giovanni completely whiffs on the flash stun for Banky King, but not a big deal. The inhibitor's still there. The Cannon Barrage called down just to clear out the wave. And now Conviction can slide up to this top lane wave where Duncan Dumpling already has it prepped to get a second inhibitor for themselves.
And they're going to push on through. They have cooldowns. They have abilities. They're not afraid to push for the end right now. Maybe a little bit afraid.
You say that.
Maybe a little bit afraid.
Yeah, it's just unnecessary. You could just go ahead and say, we got 2 inhibs. We've got a lot of gold that we haven't spent. Let's use our Baron Recall, get back to base. And now, with Soul Point in the cards, they need to make sure they don't lose that. Fortunately for them, bot lane is the only lane left to push, so I think that's the call for Conviction. Don't need to overpressure. That is the way throws lie, so they'll avoid that one.
And they have the tools to just 5-man bottom lane and dive. Like, even if they're afraid to dive the double turrets at the Nexus, that single turret in the bottom lane, whether it's the tier 2 or the tier 3, truly isn't going to protect them. If you divide and conquer, send the Odin Strixer combo flying in at light speed and just have Duncan Dumpling take somebody to the death realm. It doesn't even really matter who. You could just opt into the Twisted Fate or whoever QSS is the, Skarner ultimate. It just doesn't matter. Just remove a body from the team, make it an uneven fight for, your more fed members of the team, and they'll do the rest. They'll push through to the tower. They'll push through for the kills and be able to, end the game that way. And you can already see the pings on the map where they're like, wait, Superman is in the top side. We have to defend multiple avenues of attack.
Yeah, this is starting to turn into a very difficult game for Omega Gaming. They've got a lot to worry about. Of course, you want to get this dragon. If you can, it gives you a soul, it gives you that permanent buff, and maybe a way to come back from the deficit that they found themselves in. The issue, they're getting pushed in the bot lane. They've got supers in the mid and top. They can't really leave their base without going through Conviction, and Conviction are pretty interested in killing them if they try to do it. So a lot to worry about. This is difficult. They're going to need to find a way to make a fight happen in their favor because we have the supers crashing now. If they lose here, it will be game. Omega Gaming with their backs against the wall. How are they going to defend? Arzuto going to get stunned up, has to use the QSS to get away from Odin. That means that someone's a little more vulnerable.
Yeah, 90-second cooldown.
And there's a solar flare. We saw another CC hit Banky Kang. Duncan Dumpling going way in with the Death Realm. You see the Shen going down. The Graves follows right after. It's at the cost of the Leona, but that doesn't matter too much. What does matter is when Official Nukes and Duncan Dumpling both go down. Now you see Mid-Show Gap and Black Dog 9 and Azuto all alive, chasing down Strixer, chasing down Odin. The fight actually goes the way of OGS. It's an overcommittal from Conviction, and it means that they're going to get wiped in a 2-for-4 trade.
It does also mean they should be able to secure the Ocean Soul. They have the Ezreal alive, has that Muramana, Iceborne, Vamp Scepter combo, can very easily solo it, does get a little bit of help from a friend Mid-Show as well, and the only one left alive is Odin. And unless you overcommit to try and prevent this, there's no way to stop them. So they are going to secure that soul. They are going to get that bonus HP shield, make these dives a little bit more survivable. They just need to hold on and maybe fight for the next Baron in 30 seconds.
Yeah, and this suddenly is an interesting game, Doctor. It's the 2 inhibs down versus the permanent mountain buff. The shield's going to help out a lot. We've seen a lot of people getting burst down by a solar flare and a Syndra. When you have that extra bit of resistances and a shield to top you off, it makes it just that much harder to burst you down, and that can be a serious problem for Odin. That can be a problem for Duncan Dumpling. Has to go through a few hundred more HP every time he drags someone to the Death Realm.
Odin is in a... Yeah, I definitely think it's very interesting. Odin in particular, I think, is in a kind of a unique position, opted to go Luden's, Deathcap, Zhonya's, so still has 2 item slots left to build penetration.
Yep. Well, that said, Conviction, for the 3rd time this game, just committing to rushing down the Baron. They really do not care that much about where Omega Gaming is. This time, though, they're going to have to be respectful. There's a stun onto Boss Giovanni. Strixer goes in, but he gets chunked out. The health bars are insanely low for Conviction. Duncan Dumpling goes in to get 1 kill, but he finds himself in the middle of an entire team. He's going to fall. In the meanwhile, Banky Kang is chasing down the entire Conviction backline, and he actually stays alive. So it ends up being a 1-for-1 where a top laner trades his life for a support, and the health bars end up favoring Omega. But
I'm still at a loss at how Banky survived. He was in the middle of 4 members and not only survived as long as Duncan Dumpling, survived longer and made it back to go to base.
Yep, well, now we see Conviction trying to pressure these inhibs. While that fight happened, the mid one did respawn, the top one as well. They're going to use their health bar advantage to go push down the mid inhib. But now we see a flank from Mid-Show Gap. He's actually going to force Official Nukes to QSS away. And now the chase down is on. Goodbye, Odin. A fantastic gold card taunt combo to take that Syndra off the map. And that means that though they lose their mid inhibitor, Omega Gaming now have a man advantage, and it's their turn to eye the Baron.
Yeah, and we actually see the RFC, difference coming into play here. Mid-Show Gap got the Stand United. I was a little suspect about it. I was like, I don't think you're in range. But the gold card just flew in from downtown. The RFC gap is real.
And hey, the Swifties helps you close those distances just a little more. That's all I'm saying, Doctor.
It's movement speed, Twisted Fate is what we're seeing here today. Swifties, RFC, Lichbane, just light speed, Sanic speeds, and so far so good. You know, it took a little while, but noticeably there's only 2 deaths on the Twisted Fate, and I believe both of those deaths came off of a teleport in aggressively. And so typically what you see is the Zonias to combat that. But what we've seen Midshow do instead of that is teleport in and just instantly run away. And so it's different, but it's been effective for this particular game.
Yeah, I would say if you look at the scoreboard, it's kind of an interesting story as to where the deaths are for Omega Gaming. I haven't brought it to attention yet, but while the Twisted Fate pick is working out, there's one pick that isn't quite working out.
But it was never designed, in my opinion, to quote-unquote work out, because the Stand United still exists, right? Like, it doesn't matter how much you feed, because the shield is based on missing HP of the target. And so, yes, obviously feeding is bad. Please don't int my promos again. I see you out there. But in a perfect world, you know, you still keep your carry alive. You still do a supportive job, and you have wards. So it's almost like we're back in Season 2.
Well, here's a flank. Strixer wants Macho Gap and Vanky King. He's going to drag that Twisted Fate underneath the turret, but there is now a Shen. There is a Solar Flare. Strixer is the one that's getting focused down. Duncan Dumpling teleports in to save his Skarner. He's got the Graze of the Death Realm, but a QSS out of it means that is a very sad Mordekaiser getting 1v5 once the Death Realm is exited from, and he's going to fall, gives his life for his jungler. And now Omega Gaming knocking on Conviction's doors. They have the Baron, they have an inhibitor, and it looks like they might have finally outscaled. They've got, wow, the chunk onto Odin, another chunk onto Boss Giovanni, and official nukes falls as well. So much damage coming out of this Twisted Fate with the RFC. He just has such a huge range. He's able to leverage it perfectly. His team has the follow-up, and just like that, everyone on Conviction falls one by one, and Omega Gaming pick up game 1.
Yeah, one of the problems with being the fastest man alive is you're faster than everybody. And what we saw there was the Skarner going in, didn't have the damage backup, only had the Leona trying to assist, and the backline there for Conviction wasn't able to enter the fight. They were cut off by that cannon barrage. We did see Duncan Dumpling try and come in to assist, but with how much late game damage is coming out from Macho Gap, Azuto, and Black Dog, even the mostly tanky Mordekaiser simply wasn't tanky enough. And then once that front line goes down, that RFC movement speed Macho Gap just came flying in, landed a gold card on the Odin, and just deleted them from the map, and there's no more wave clear. So outscaled is definitely the correct term. We were concerned about how those globals would fare come mid-game, and it basically went exactly as we thought. They weren't able to get hyper far ahead early. They fell behind mid, but there wasn't the opportunity to close out from Conviction. And whether that was because of the massive QSS, fire sale, or maybe they were not as committed to pushing through, because they did also get double Baron. So we'll have to see how they adjust that heading into game 2.
Yep, there's a lot to think about for both of these teams. It was back and forth. It was a close game. I think both of them should be going into game 2 thinking we got this one. So Conviction going to have to try to adjust a little bit. Omega Gaming, they've got some things that they can think about too. I think though the Shen pick did what it was intended to do, it did also die a whole lot. That could be something they can evaluate. Feeding not ideal. So lots for both of these teams to try and adjust on, and we will take a brief break before we get into the draft for game 2. We'll see how they do it.